evening, everybody.
Really go all the way through.
Welcome to the Township Board's business meeting. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a full board tonight, which we haven't had for a while. That's good. Glad everybody's here.
Nice.
We have Elena sitting in for Brian tonight. Welcome, Elena. And we'll get going with any additions or deletions.
I have one, Jim, but it's going to need a little bit of explaining, so you guys can tell me how you want to handle this.
Go ahead.
Okay, I would like an addition to the action items, and it may go in, it has the ability, if the board wishes, to go into closed session. It's in regard to the lawsuit. So I don't know how much right now. I know it has to go onto an action item or on the agenda before it can be asked to go to closed session. Is that correct?
The closed session is what has to, what you're asking to go into closed session. You're asking for a closed session.
Well, what I'm asking for is, yes, I need to talk about something that I want on an action item tonight because we have a request that came up this weekend. Unfortunately, that's why it's kind of late. It's more than late. It just happened 2 days ago. And we solidified what 3 board members are requesting from the board. And if you would like to go into closed session, I didn't know if it actually had to be on the agenda before it can be asked to go to closed session. So, and if you feel...
I'll defer to the clerk.
I don't know what he's talking about.
He's talking about adding a closed session that wasn't on our printed agenda.
Agenda.
Is there any reason we have 7 members here? So
I don't know.
of any reason why
we couldn't do it?
we couldn't do it.
What do you think? That's beyond my
Yeah,
experience.
I think it would be okay to do that as long as you had all the members here to add that, to go into that. Is it for pending litigation or current litigation to discuss?
But
Correct.
is our attorney present? Doesn't the attorney have to
No.
be present
No.
for
No.
pending litigation or litigation?
No, they don't.
They don't?
They do not. No.
If we're going to be discussing a legal opinion, obviously that helps, but
Right.
I'm not sure the nature of the
And it has nothing to
conversation.
do with the facts or anything in the lawsuit. That's what I'm going to let you know.
Yeah,
No, I was
Yeah.
I was always of the impression if you were going to have a closed session to discuss a pending litigation, your attorney one of the attorneys had to be present
no, they
to
would
give an
not.
opinion.
They would
Also,
not.
if you're not comfortable, if you're not comfortable, I mean, you're going to vote on it, so I'm just telling you the truth. Obviously, you get this, that you can vote no tonight, so it's
No,
up to
I
you.
just don't want, after the fact, people to come
Well-
back and say we did something wrong.
No, I mean, you would want your, because it's legal, because it's litigation, you would want that opinion from the, attorney. But as far as having the closed session regarding the litigation, you wouldn't need them to be there.
All right.
What could happen is we can go into closed session and we find out what that is.
Okay.
And, I mean, we know it's on the litigation. We find out exactly what it is and say, well, we're not going to act on anything until we get, and then go back to our attorney.
Okay,
But I don't see anything wrong
Right,
with
you
putting
don't
a
have to
closed
act on
session. Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I'm just, is it possible, could it be at the end of does that mess things up? if
yeah,
the
we would
closed-
do it at
Well,
you would add it to the end of the meeting, right?
Can we
The
do
closed
that?
Not
session?
necessarily. We
No?
can do it either way, but, you know,
Do it right now at the beginning?
Well, no.
Jim, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
because the people that are here tonight, if it could be at the end, I just thought it might be better, because it's just for us talking about it, and not their-
No, and I'm just looking at and I see nothing wrong with wherever, putting it at the end.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm just out of convenience,
Sure.
not out of...
Well, no, and
Anything else?
there's, I mean, we can put it in the middle. I mean, there is no
Okay,
set.
I understand what
There's
you're
no
saying.
set place to put it. So,
I'll second Joe's motion.
okay, thank you, sir. That was what I was going to ask for. So we have a motion to add a closed session to discuss litigation, current litigation. Is there any other discussion on that?
Well, make it part of the motion to add to the end of the meeting,
Well,
right?
that doesn't matter, where, it doesn't matter. Is there any other discussion on Joe's motion? Seeing none, all in favor of adding a closed session to our agenda, which will be at the end of the meeting, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we will have
Thank you.
closed session.
Well, and yes, just to clarify, as Joe pointed out, we will not be taking any action during the closed session.
No, oh, you can't. You can't take anything in the closed session.
And then we will reopen the open session before we close the
And if you
open
feel
session.
at the end of a closed session, then we are allowed to vote on something if you feel that.
Right, then we bring it back to open session to vote.
Right, it has to be brought back,
Right,
correct, but I'm
right.
saying you have the ability to say yes or no.
Correct.
Yeah.
The one day I didn't bring my booklet.
Okay, so we have that. Any other additions or deletions? Then I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support.
You all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have our amended agenda. Okay. All right, that brings us to public comment on agenda items. Do we have anyone? Is there anybody behind the?
Oh, not
No,
behind yet.
behind. I just want to see who's here. So it's just the three?
Yep.
Okay.
Kevin Flavin, Park Lane. Regarding, I believe, item 8 on the consent agenda, I noticed that the cost for Yo and Yo has gone up almost 45% this year compared to last year. And I wondered if we were asking them to do 45% more work, number one. Number two, Yo and Yo has been the township auditor for multiple years, and it may be time and good public management to go out to bid for a new auditor to find out what we might get for less or what we might get for the same. So as far as the budget goes, the couple questions. The budget, and this may, of course, change with, well, first let me say thank you to everybody that has worked so hard to put the budget together. I think that I appreciate that we've taken steps forward. One of the issues that I don't see in the budget is have we budgeted for a negative outcome with litigation that we're currently in, should that happen? And number two, have we budgeted or created a business plan to purchase the pay bridge if that should happen? Is there any money set aside for that? And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay. Teresa, I would ask that if we can touch on that when that issue comes up, if we can remember what Kevin has asked, and we'll.
So the amount and
Well,
the,
no, when we do the action item.
oh, okay, sorry.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment and go to the consent agenda. David?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we approve, excuse me, consent agenda 23-118, which consists of the following: minutes of the March 11th, 2024 regular meeting, check registers dated through March 28th, 2024, approval to process and distribute payments through March 31st, 2024, renewal of the Cooperative Library Services Agreement, accept the retirement of Eugene Kowalski, committee and commission chairpersons for fiscal year 2024-2025, the reappointment of commission and committee members for terms starting fiscal year 2024-2025, and the Yo audit engagement letter.
Support?
Thank you. Comments or questions on the consent agenda? If nobody's going to say anything, then now I will ask Teresa about the engagement, not the engagement letter, but the fee for Yo went up.
It did not go up compared to 23-24. The amount in the engagement letter is the full amount. Our audit fees are spread across various funds to reflect the work that's done across those funds. So there's about, for 23-24, there's about $10,500 that was spread across various funds. That's why you see a lower amount in the general fund. But it actually went down from 23, it
total
was higher
fee?
during 23-24 because of the retirement of the finance director. During the time of the audit, the fee for 24-25 is very small increase over 22-23.
And what did you say about 23-24?
The amount is 23-24 is considerably higher than it was in 22-23 due to the retirement of the finance director and the timing. But
you're saying,
the fee is actually less for 24-25 that they put in the letter than what we paid for 23-24. It's just
Okay.
the cost some of the cost is allocated to other funds to reflect the time, what is the time spent during the audit.
Okay.
So it's not all in the general fund, and I think that's what Mr. Flavin is looking at, is the general fund.
May I ask you for the amounts for those 3 years last year, or the year before last year, and now this year? For Yo?
Do you have that?
If you don't have them, it's okay. I can ask
I don't have the exact figures.
Okay.
I have looked at it.
I can get
I
them
looked
later.
at it when I got the letter. I did review what it was 2 years ago, and there was
Did
just
not get a huge increase, is the
Correct.
bottom line.
Correct.
So, okay, good enough.
You want me to address those other items as well, or the lawsuit stuff?
No, that'd be when we do the
Okay.
budget.
All right.
We will get to those, but at the proper time. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to again thank and congratulate all of the people that have continued their volunteer positions as chair members of our commissions and committees, and as well all of our wonderful volunteers who serve on those commissions and committees. We could not do the volume of work at this township that we do without the energy, assistance, knowledge of those people. So I just wanted to say that.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, we have a motion to approve consent agenda 23-118, which consists of minutes of the March 11th, 2024 regular meeting, check register dated through March 28th, 2024, approval to process and distribute payments through March 31st, 2024, renewal of the Cooperative Library Service Agreement with Trenton, accept the retirement of Eugene Kowalski, the committee commission chairperson list for 2024-2025, the reappointment of commission and committee members for terms starting in 2024-2025, and the Yo audit engagement letter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I hearing none. Our consent agenda is approved. All right. moving on to our action items. The first action item is a motion to amend the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget as follows. The general fund budget increases $302,349. The fire equipment budget decreases by $1,750,000. Boy, those trucks are expensive. Public safety building maintenance budget decreased by $100,000. Federal drug law enforcement budget increases by $870,710. State drug law enforcement budget decreased by $164,100. Treasury drug law enforcement budget increases by $4,594. The recreation fund budget increases by $225,619. ARPA fund budget, which was created at $668,000. Bike path fund budget decrease $113,200. Municipal airport budget increases by $104,251, and the Department of Public Works budget increases by $236,245.
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions? This is, adjustments are needed every year to balance the various funds in the general fund, enterprise fund, and in order to provide appropriations for extraordinary items, which caused a lot of this, and adjust appropriations for actual activity during the year. So any questions or comments on the amendment? Something we do every year.
Mostly a comment. I believe
Yep.
this is the, I guess, second one that I've seen, but it's just very detailed. So I'm really grateful for all the detail. I think it really shows what we budgeted, where we went over, where we went under. It's a really helpful, I think, document, and I'm grateful it was put together like this. It's out there in the public, and that we're voting on it now.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none. We have a motion to amend the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget as follows. Do I have to say those again?
No,
Have you captured that, Elena?
No, I'm positive.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, please don't. All right, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I-7. That is taken care of. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is a motion to adopt the township budget for 2024-2025 fiscal year effective April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2025.
Support.
Thank you. We have been through this budget at a study session, and we've been through it at the budget hearing. Nothing has really changed since our budget hearing last week. It's the same that we went through then. So we are adopting the budget, which we need to do this month. Any comments or questions? Seeing none. Motion to adopt the attached township budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, effective April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. We will be able to work next fiscal year. All right. That brings us to action item number 3. David?
Thank you. Based upon a recommendation by the Groseal Department of Public Services Commission, the Groseal Township Board approves the award of a contract with Asphalt Specialists, Inc. at a cost of $495,950. In addition, the Groseal Township Board authorizes a contingency totaling $504,050, making the total contract cost $1 million. It is understood that the same unit pricing for both the base and alternate bids will be adhered to in the contingency portion of the contract.
Second.
Thank you, Jameson. All right, David, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
It is odd to see a cost at one price and the contingency to be higher than the cost. So what is going, and then the motion talks about alternate bids. Is that a contingency or is that
No.
alternate bids?
That's alternate bids.
Then contingency should not be in there?
No. We went out for bid on Ferry Road. We got bids from, and that was delayed from prior year, waiting for the Ferry Road Bridge to be completed. We got bids from Asphalt Specialists and from Al's Asphalt.
Okay.
Asphalt Specialist was the low bidder.
Correct.
The engineer's estimate was originally $800,000, and the DPS Commission had budgeted $1 million just in case. The DPS, but the bid actually came in at just under $500,000. So that left $500,000, and that was for the original bid. Derek, can you help me out on what the alternate?
Yeah,
We went from 3 inches to 4 inches.
I'm trying to figure out why a contingency is greater than the original bid.
Contingency probably isn't the best term. It's just basically we're looking to increase the contract by almost $500,000. Because of the good unit pricing that we received, we want to use the contractor at those unit prices to do work elsewhere in the community. So the alternate or the contingency isn't on Ferry. It's not going to change the scope of work on Ferry. It's just to utilize those unit prices elsewhere. We have other areas in the township that can benefit from this type of work, and we utilize that additional amount of money to apply these unit prices elsewhere.
Should we say authorize additional? I mean, because I'm assuming we do not know what that 500 would cost right now. I mean, what it would go to right now, but we know we have work out there. We haven't identified the project.
Correct.
So can we change contingency to additional projects totaling 500?
Absolutely. If that's the pleasure of the board, yep.
Yeah, I'm not.
Explain the alternate pricing and the base bid, just for information. The alternate was to do 4-inch mill and fill. The base bid was 3-inch reinforced. The 3-inch reinforced was not approved by the county as a method that we could utilize, so.
Okay.
So on the Ferry Road project, I would be a bit remiss if I didn't support BPAC in regard to it. So is there any proposed work that's going to shore up the trail over the bridge right there? It's in pretty poor shape. I don't know if that's part of the scope of the project.
It is not. We're not going to be touching any of the bridge area because the county has that scheduled for replacement.
Okay.
And there is pedestrian routes across that bridge that have been incorporated into the planned replacement of that bridge.
Okay, good.
Other questions or comments?
Is there a way to have that come before the board again, before additional projects are included? It just feels like a big amount to say, hey, do what you want without us overseeing that. That's just something I'm naming,
Absolutely, we can bring that back to the board once we have a
When
project
we have the
list.
exact
Yeah,
projects.
we've got to measure out the location. I mean, we have a good idea of where this work is going to take place, but we have to get with the engineers with these unit prices and see how far this money will take us in these various areas.
Does that need to be
You do
part
have to
of this
approve
motion?
that
then?
We'll make it
495.
part of the motion.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
We still need to approve.
Yeah, and you could say something about approval is contingent upon the project list coming back before the board for approval once formulated or something along those lines.
Yeah, which is, I'll put some wording in there. But yeah, we have to, I mean, on the other hand, we have to have that rather than going out and doing work and having to do it the other way is much more cumbersome.
Yeah, and the reason it's being done this way is, number one, the unit prices are very competitive. Number two, to bring a contractor into the community to do $500,000 of work for that mobilization cost that you're gonna have to pay for, this allows us to put more money into the roads rather than paying for mobilization. It's a far more competitive price, having the one contractor that's already in place come and do additional work in other areas at the pricing that's been offered.
Derek, I have a question regarding timing. County's replacing the bridge over the canal on Ferry. We're going to be paving Ferry. Which is coming first?
Probably the paving. Ferry Road Bridge will probably
That's what I'm anticipating.
be late summer, early fall, but we've coordinated with the county about this project to make sure that we're not repairing or replacing road that they're gonna end up tearing up when they do the bridge.
That's my concern.
Yeah, we're
That's
coming
my
to a
concern.
certain point, stopping. The county will actually be paving leading up to the
Beyond that.
bridge and on the other side. So, yeah, we won't be paving and then tearing it up.
I want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're not spending money twice for
No.
the same.
Yeah, their limit, I think, is 200 or 300 feet east of the bridge, so we know where that line is, and we will pave up to that point, and as the supervisor mentioned, we'll match up with it.
All right, other questions, comments? Seeing none, we have a motion. Based upon a recommendation by Groseal Department of Public Service Commission, the Groseal Township Board approves the award of a contract with Asphalt Specialists, Inc., at a cost of $495,950. In addition, the Groseal Township Board authorizes additional projects totaling $504,050, which will be brought back to the board when the exact projects are identified, making the total contract cost $1 million. It is understood that the same unit pricing for both the base and alternate bids will be adhered to in the additional portion of the contract.
Support?
What I need is a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. We'll get some more roads paved.
I think the support was good because there have been some changes
Yeah.
to the wording, so it's good that we did that. Thank you, Kyle.
All right. And David?
Oh, okay. The Township Board hereby approves to authorize revisions to the 2024-2025 fee schedule as promulgated by the Community Development Department.
Support.
Do you want Ross to come up?
If David can't handle it, yeah.
I'll just give a quick summary. If you all remember, last year, the department did a complete overhaul of our fee schedule for the first time in 13 years. This new revised schedule, there aren't too many changes aside from some verbiage changes to help clarify what the applicant's paying for. And we're increasing the application fees from $35 to $40. In comparison to other communities, we're pretty average, if not just even a little bit below. And that increase in $5 is to help account to pay for the online permitting system with BS&A. So this is all worked out in the budget that you all just approved. So if you have any questions.
I do, Ross.
Yeah.
So I saw an occupancy certificate was increased to $2,000. What was it increased from?
No.
So for residential or the additional bond for incomplete concrete, is that?
Yeah, it's kind of like a lump paragraph there. Several things, and then it says increased to $2,000. I could read it to you if you like.
So we've had an issue with commercial work, concrete work being performed without, those folks coming in and checking to make sure that the concrete was performed correctly. So we increased that fee to make them come back to the department and get their final inspections with us. So
From what, though? Do you know from what it came?
from what it was before,
Yeah,
it was
that's
$1,000.
That's what he's asking.
Yep. So it was from
Okay.
$1,000 to $2,000.
So I guess it's page 197 of 200 of the board packet, but page 5 of the fee schedule. And it says residential occupancy 1,000, commercial occupancy 2,000. So commercial was previously 1,000 then?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, all right. And then did the residential change as well? Did that go up?
No, we just added that, just so that we do have that concrete, we can get that finalized out, because there's been
Okay.
some issues with draining onto adjoining properties and all that sort of stuff, which is a large headache for the community development department, so.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't pricing residents out of concrete work.
Yeah,
so.
no, yeah, we just want to make sure that the work is performed correctly and they get that bond back, so.
Okay.
Other questions, comments? With none, thank you,
Thank you.
Ross. We have a motion. The Township Board hereby approves to authorize revisions to the 2024-2025 fee schedule. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have that.
Excuse me.
Thank you, everybody. Bear with me here. Okay, now we have public comment. Back to public comment again. 3 minutes, the usual thing. Do we have anything? Anyone, I should say. Mr. Flavin? Oh, did we answer his questions? Yeah. Okay, we'll take care of that after he gets done here.
So back to the yellow question. I would like the board to tell the community how long Yo and Yo has been our auditors, and that helps. Now that the mic is on, back to Yo and Yo, I'd like to ask how long Yo and Yo have been the township auditors, and as a best practices, the Financial Auditors Association suggests, and the government finance officers also suggest, best practice is that you go to bid for auditors every 4 to 8 years. And I don't think that's happened here. I think Yo and Yo have been our auditors for ages way beyond 8 years. So I think it is to the taxpayers' benefit to go and have that
I know.
bid out.
I'll mention.
The other question on, the amendment to this past year's budget had a very nice narrative with it. It explained it, but that has not been discussed in any meeting that I've been, except for what you discussed this evening. I think that should be discussed in more detail. I did not see anywhere an accounting of how the COVID money has been spent. There was over, I believe, $900,000, $1 million. It would be nice for the taxpayers to know how that money was spent. And the part there, what's interesting is how was there a capital budget, or was it a fly by the seat of your pants decision on where to spend that money? I think that's a major issue. So those two things, and I've asked that all the committees put together agenda packets so that the taxpayer can see what's going on there. But if there is time, I think it would be helpful to go back and talk about the budget amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Anyone else? Elena, do we have anything? Okay. Before we get into our reports, just quickly, Auditors were probably, we went out about 4 years ago. Yeah, we did. We went out about 4 years ago and looked at them, and Yo was what the board wanted to stick with. And it might have been 5 years, but it was in the last, it was not our term, the term before. It was done. I have been trying to get us to look at, we did our attorney this year. And I agree with you, Kevin. I think regardless of how much you're in favor of the professional consultants that you have, just good business to go out and see where that all lands in the marketplace. We know what kind of, we pretty much know what kind of work they're doing for you, and you may be very happy with that, but if you don't go out, you might also find out that they're charging you an arm and a leg, or you may find out that it's a very good price that you're getting. So it does make sense to do. And as I said, for auditors, we went out last term. So that has been done. COVID money, I know when we did the COVID money, it was presented at a meeting, it was scheduled out, that was all done. It's a matter of how many times are you going to present it, I guess. I don't think it needs to be presented every time. Anybody that wishes, we have the schedule, they can ask again, but we certainly have gone over it a couple of times at least as to how it broke down.
On those, on the lawsuits, so there are two current items of litigation involving the township. One is the township suit of Toby for the water main work or the water main damage. We have budgeted in the DPS account for additional legal fees for those proceedings. And obviously that's the township claiming damages against Toby. So any, affirmative act or affirmative decision on that benefits the township would be cash in, not cash out in that situation. With regards to the other lawsuit, Ken Pellin versus Groseal Township, that case is being handled by our insurance company. Our deductible on that is $15,000, and that has been accounted for, I believe, in this fiscal year, or will be accounted for in this fiscal year. So there wouldn't be the necessity for any kind of judgment to be budgeted for, especially not knowing what the outcome of that is going to be, and insurance is handling that end of things. So hopefully that answers those two questions.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the reports. Clerk, report.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The clerk's office is preparing for the August 6th primary election, and long-term for the November 5th general election. As always, recruiting and hiring election workers, poll inspectors, etc. A topic of interest is the precinct delegate selection and the deadlines for that. So I have an update here that county and district political party chairs must certify the number of precinct delegates to be elected in each precinct to the County Election Commission no later than April 1st. Precinct delegate candidates are required to file an affidavit of identity to gain ballot access. Petition signatures are not required. However, precinct delegate candidates must file with the county clerk, not the local clerk, but the county clerk. The precinct delegate filing deadline elapses at 4 p.m. on May 7th, 2024. Anyone who wishes to seek a precinct delegate position with write-in votes must file a declaration of intent with the county clerk by 4 p.m. on August 2nd, 2024. And as an alternative, such candidates may also file a declaration of intent with the appropriate precinct board on the day of the election. Blank declaration of intent forms must be and are provided to each precinct board. And the declaration of intent forms, though, may not be filed like at an early voting site. And so I know the two major parties are now gearing up for the primary and, getting their political machines up and running. And those depend on precinct delegates. And so that is, those are the deadlines if you want to apply. There are no qualifications per se beyond actually just filing an affidavit of identity. I also am part of the Community Rec Commission, and I just wanted to highlight that we have an Easter event at Centennial Farm this coming Saturday, and it starts at 10 a.m. And of course, the volunteers will be out there making sure that everything runs smoothly. But we're hoping for good weather and good turnout with all the little kids and bunnies and chicks in the island. And we hope you'll come and join us. And Elena doesn't have anything else from the clerk's department, so that's the clerk's report for today.
Thank you.
Uta, can I ask you just one question, please?
Sure.
On that one Easter event that you're talking about down at the rec department, who would have, or should we call the rec department to get more info? Like, is there a cost? Is it like
Yes.
is it mainly for little kids? Is that?
It's mainly for little kids. It's on the website for the Township Rec.
Okay.
I think had I thought ahead, I would have printed an an event flyer, but they are available on the Township website, or you just call Grosse Ile Rec, and the team there will be happy to answer your questions.
Okay, thanks.
Is there an adult Easter egg hunt as well?
Did you hear that?
I did.
Oh, you're not. We're waiting. All right. Thank you to David.
Thank you. For the month of February, Grosse Ile Township had a total of $26,346,000 invested in our various investment accounts, and they generated a total of $92,669,000 in investment interest, excuse me, at an average interest rate of 4.04%. And the full February investment report can be viewed on the Treasurer's section at grosseile.com. And just a reminder that all 2023 unpaid real property taxes are now considered delinquent and must be paid directly to Wayne County with applicable penalties and fees. And Wayne County payment link is waynecounty.com/PTA, and they have the current delinquent amounts as well as payment information. And another reminder about the dog tags, pet licenses are available at Township Hall at the cashier's office. The next DPS commission meeting is April 9th, and I'm sure possible road work, asphalt work will be on that agenda. And the Airport Commerce Park Commission next meeting is scheduled for April 15th. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Gene Kowalski and wish him well on his retirement journey. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, David. Kyle.
Sure. Thank you all. I sit on the Planning Commission, which meets on an as-needed basis, but its next meeting will be on April 1st to discuss the master plan. Strongly encourage residents to continue to get involved in that. One thing that I know was asked of us is ways to talk about housing. So if there are homeowners or groups of homeowners or things like that that are interested in doing that, I know that our master planning folks are interested in talking to you or getting folks together for that. So I'm excited about that. I'll say a little bit more about planning, but I wanted to step back a little bit and just say a little bit about our budget. At least since I've been here, I feel like the process has improved every year. and and that doesn't mean we still can't do better. But I do again want to call out that amendment and the narrative there. I thought that was very good. Mr. Flavin, I hear your suggestion that amendment stuff be discussed earlier. I will say that it was a little bit of a blind spot for me because that narrative just feels to me like kind of what we went through the whole year and approved throughout the year. But it's a good point. That's a good summary of everything that's been going on, and I think it's worth being discussed. But the highlight that I want to put out there for everyone, because I think it's important we talk about this, is we had an election obviously around a police millage, and for me the message was very clear that folks are feeling pretty tight with their taxes and things like that, and they voted against it, and there's a real result of that. Our millage rate this year is going to go down, which I think is something we should talk about and say more loudly. What I was looking at is almost 2 mils going down. So. It doesn't necessarily, you have to look at your taxable value to see exactly what that means for you. But for me, the voters spoke, and something's happening. Ideally, that'll ease folks' tax burden going into this year. So that's something I think we should talk about and speak about more. I will also, I've made some suggestions, but things I think we can do as we send those tax bills out is just very clearly saying, hey, this is where all your taxes are going, and letting folks know, it doesn't all go to us. We're about a third goes to schools, a third goes to the county. So just being very clear about where all that money goes. But anyway, overall, just very happy with the process so far, and know we can continue to improve. So we'll continue to push for that, however I can. To go back to planning, we did have a meeting last week around Jewish Fresh Start, which put in a special land use permit. It was very well attended, probably the most well attended meeting I've ever seen since I've been here. There was folks down in the hall that were there, and I thought it went very well. Honestly, folks spoke very well on all sides of it. And I want to say it's the way that the whole situation came to light was not easy. I think ideally this is something that would have come before the township right away when it was happening. That's not what happened. It came to a light in a way that was not good for a lot of folks. And I think those hurt feelings came out during that meeting, and they're right to have those hurt feelings, I feel like. But I'm really happy that we have them in the process now, and I'm really, I will say, proud of the township staff for how they were able to do that. Being on the planning commission for as long as I have, you see a lot of the rules and regulations, and sometimes you say, like, why are we doing it this way? Can we do better? But through this, I've seen how important it is that we have all these policies, that we follow them well, and township staff, again, have done very well at doing that, at getting Jewish Fresh Start involved in the process, and that gives us more say over what can happen there, I feel, and I'm happy for that. If we hadn't done that, the say could have gone away from us, and so, again, just very proud of township staff for how that was handled. I will end with something that is both funny and embarrassing, but I do want to put it out there. So on Friday, there's a satire site called the Wayne County Wire, and they put out a satire post joking that the Grozio Municipal Airport was going to be renamed after Flavor Flav, which is a hip-hop artist. And I saw it on Friday, and I saw people posting it. I saw people already worried that the name was going to change. I thought it was funny. I'll admit, I thought it was funny. And so I said, you know what? I'll try to get ahead of it. So using my personal account, I posted it, just letting know, hey, this is a satire site. Ha ha ha. That's what I did, and I got a lot of flack for it. I had I would say about half of folks thought it was funny too. About the other half thought it was a waste of time. I was disrespecting veterans, that I should be focusing on planning, which I was. There's another thread I was working on planning. But I just put it out there. People often ask, why doesn't the township board engage in social media? And it's hard, and that's a good example of it. I did what I thought was best to try to hopefully save township staff some headaches around answering questions. I don't know if I made it worse. I hope I didn't. But anyway, it's out there. To be very clear, the airport is not being renamed after a hip hop artist. It was just a joke. And yeah, it's it's always a learning process for me. So I'll end it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle. Joe.
Good evening. I sit on the police commission. We meet third Tuesday of the month, 7 p.m. in this room. And I just want to kind of expound a little bit what Kyle was saying on the millage. Obviously, it was the vote of the people, and the people spoke, and I absolutely respect that. And now that we have a balanced budget for 24-25, correct?
Yes.
And we got that out of the way. Township Supervisor Budney has already, we got plans for a meeting with the police commission and we are going to move forward and look at our financial issues and see where we're at and see what we can do. And we're always seeing where we can improve, be it within the department and for funding for the department. So that's already started. I'd like to say one thing. I want to add, I watched the meeting the other night too, Kyle, and I want to applaud the commissioners themselves and Mr. Schweikert. That meeting, and I'm not going to tell you I can tell when someone runs things straight by the numbers, but Mr. Schweikert runs a meeting. That meeting was run right by the numbers. There was no bias. There was no anything other than down the line of how a meeting should be run. And I really applaud him, and I applaud all the commissioners. Kyle is the representative from the board, the liaison. All those members asked very pertinent questions. They were engaged, they were informed, and obviously, as Kyle stated, there was a very large group, and they gave their opinion, and they have every right to come up and give whatever opinion they have, actually. And that's not our rules. It's actually a rule from a small court down in Cincinnati, the 6th District Appellate Court says that. So I like when people come to meetings, pro or con. It was a great showing, but once again, I would really like to applaud the Planning Commission. They did everything that I think a commission and a meeting should be done in that manner, and I again want to applaud Mr. Schweikert. I know he's been there many years. He has a lot of experience in planning, and you've got to know the rules, as Kyle stated. If you don't know the rules and how to not only conduct the meeting, but conduct what is within the meeting, we're going to have some troubles, and I'm very confident that Mr. Schweikert knows both. And once again, I applaud the whole group, though. So that's it for me tonight.
Thank you, Joe. Jameson?
Good evening. I'm not going to mention Flavor Flav or Jewish Fresh Start or the Train Crane. I don't know if anybody saw the Train Crane article as well. What I will mention is that the Zoning Board of Appeals will likely be hearing the Fresh Start appeal in the immediate future. Our next meeting is the 23rd of April, which is probably plenty of time for that meeting to be the one that hears that appeal. So, those interested in it, attend. Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, we have an event taking place in April. I think the board should know about it. I don't think it's really necessarily something the board needs to support or the township even needs to support, but a bicycling group along with SEMCOG does something called Roll Along the River. It's happened here before in the past, but hasn't in the past few years. So a group of cyclists get together in northern Wyandotte, and they ride down along the river, and then this year they want to ride across the bridge and ride around Grosse Ile as well, now that we're part of the Trail Towns Network. Then they'll depart from Grosse Ile and then go south, I think to Erie Metro Park. The date is in April. It's not ironed out yet, but should be kind of a cool event. So if it does happen and you want to see a bunch of bicyclists go by, I'll be publishing the route probably to the township and then as well to Facebook as soon as I have it. So, and I have nothing further.
Thank you, Jameson. Just roll along.
Yeah, roll along.
Carl?
I have the pleasure and honor of sitting on two committees. Greenways Open Space is going to ask an Eagle Scout to present to us a project he wants to do on the west side of Meridian, south of Lowry, in the grubbed out area. You'll see that was where piping was spliced together for the new lines, and there is a significant amount of area that's been cleared. Would make a project where we could do some kind of a observation deck down at the canal. He wants to do a presentation. We're asking him to come before the April 2nd, 7 p.m. meeting of Greenways Open Space, show us what he has on tap, what he wants to do, and then I'm going to ask him to come to the Township Board for a presentation at our April 8th meeting. and hopefully he'll be able to explain the project, and everybody will get a chance to see what he wants to do and what the recommendation of Greenways Open Space is. The second commission I sit on is the Fire Commission. We did have 2 firefighters that completed training recently, and as always, we're looking for more. So feel free to contact Public Safety, and if you can find somebody out there that wants to join, wants to become a member of the firefighting department, I think it would be absolutely wonderful. The third thing is I would share the sentiments that the treasurer had regarding Gene Kowalski. I've had the pleasure of knowing Gene for about 8 years. The last several years, he has been one of the maintenance people at the Groseal Airport, and there's hardly a day when I don't see Gene and Frank going by. Gene has a lot of institutional knowledge. I wish he were able to stay much longer with us. That, however, is not in the cards, and Gene will be leaving at the end of the month. If you see Gene, just tell him hello, good luck, Godspeed, have a great retirement. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Carl. Derek, manager's report.
Good evening. Just a few items for tonight. First one is yard waste starts the first week in April. I know that there were some questions about where or when that starts. This notice, as well as other information about yard waste, can be found on the Township's website under the Department of Public Service link, but it always is the first week in April. So the first Monday or Tuesday in the week of April is when service will be starting. So if my calendar is correct, I believe that's next week. Island cleanup, April 20th. So if you have some free time on Saturday the 20th, starting at 10 o'clock, that will start. That's put on by Kiwanis. So if you have some availability in a vehicle that can assist with picking up trash around the island, it all is for a good cause and ends up contributing to a much cleaner island. So keep that on your calendar if at all possible. And then speaking of other waste, we have Dump the Junk, Find a Treasure, April 27th from 9 to 4. That's at the Public Service Yard on Grow Road. This information can be found on our website as well, as far as things that are acceptable and things that are not. I know that's well attended, so we have the dumpsters there for use, so please take advantage of that and do some spring cleaning. And then last but not least, as
Derek, I'm just going to stop you for a second. Dump the junk. Were we also going to have a shredder company to pick up?
Bill Stevenson was consulting with Rotary. That's a project that the Rotary does
So
regularly.
it's not part of Dump the Junk. It'll be.
It's, no pun intended, but it's not set in concrete yet.
Okay.
And Bill, last time when I spoke to him there and we exchanged messages today, my understanding is that Rotary wants to have that. They want to have it there. We're looking for a location that's a little closer to Township Hall because of the amount of traffic that we have generate with people coming and going, and frankly limited space to be able to handle the volume of traffic. So Bill is working with Rotary on that, and they want to go ahead and do something at the same time. And I think that there's a good reason to do it at the same time. It's just trying to find the right place for it.
Talk to me this week. We'll work on that.
You have some documents you need to have shredded?
It's over on the Ferry Road, I'm thinking of it.
I did see that the Rotary is going to be doing it, is what I saw from their Facebook page. So, and on the same day, it's April 27th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Okay, so they just need a location. Okay, good enough. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. And last but not least, I know a couple of comments this evening about Mr. Kowalski. He has been a great employee of the township, worked with REC, as Carl had mentioned earlier, and then moved over to the airport about 3 years ago, and he's been a great asset, worked very well for the township, and we'll be sorry to see him go, but I'm sure he's looking forward to his retirement and spending time working on vehicles. Him and I had a brief conversation about what his plans were, and I think he's got some hot rods he wants to work on in his retirement, so I'm sure he's looking forward to that. But thank you, Gene, for your years of service. Really do appreciate it. That concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Derek. And very quickly, DDA meeting this Thursday at 6:30 here in the boardroom. I too, I was around when Gene was hired at REC, and I've known him all these years, and I too wish him all the best in his retirement. Go out and enjoy it. And I do want to say, somewhat selfishly, Mr. Bletcher mentioned the fire department, and we had two, I guess, cadets who finished their state tests, both written and the hands-on test was done this Saturday. The graduation will be coming when they get the results from the written. Two fine gentlemen, and along with that, my grandson was in that class. So I want to, Caden, I'm very proud of you, and you better have passed that written exam.
No pressure.
And that is all I have. So with that, I am going to make a motion that we go into closed session.
Second.
Thank you. We will take a roll call vote on that. Joe?
Yes.
Jameson?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Uda?
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
And I vote aye. We will go into closed session. I will ask the audience to leave. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or did you want to go?
Oh, no,
Did
it's
you,
you.
do you feel more comfortable and do you want to do it? Would it be better in the? Yeah.